There we go. Okay.
Hear yourself?
There we are. I'm here. I'm here, guys.
All right. Well, welcome.
We made it. A little earlier morning than I'm used to, but hey.
Hey, glad to have you
it's
in.
good.
Man.
Yeah. It's actually not too bad. If I made it, if I had so many clients that needed my last hours, I would love getting here early on, because I know, John, you got babies, dude. I don't got a baby.
No. I mean, 6 a.m. is a different story, but
Yeah.
7 a.m., 8 a.m., it's tolerable.
It's
good.
Driving here was definitely a lot nicer, though, too. Just kind of chill, not like, get out of my way, Kind of that guy, but.
It's nice to start a little bit more calm.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Well, Sticks, everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Heart of the City, the City Barbers podcast. We are in the shop right now as we speak in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today, kind of our topic on hand is going to be the personal life versus work-life balance. But before we begin, Casey, roll that intro. Guys, welcome back. Obviously, the notorious question of work-life balance. It's probably something that everybody thinks about, everybody's talked about before, and it probably changes for every person every year, all the time.
Yes.
To kind of begin, what I think is cool about you and I, we basically started the exact same time. We're 7 years deep in this career.
Mm-hmm.
Our entire life and career has been here at City Barbers. We've gone through all the different growing changes together. It's different, but excellent and great all at the same time.
Yes.
Of how much has improved over the last 7 years here. It was a special place when we got here, and just to see where we're at now in 2023 is pretty incredible.
It is wild to think of kind of not growing up together, but kind of we've grown up a lot.
100%.
Side by side. Us three, John included. It's. You guys are like the only ones like that I'm, I've known you guys obviously the longest, so it's just like, okay, I know when I got these two in the shop with me and stuff like that, everything is solid, and I don't see myself going anywhere for my whole career here. It's the only shop I've worked at, and it's the only shop I plan on working at. So.
Yeah, we hit the jackpot. I mean, honestly,
100%.
to be able to start out here and it doesn't get much better than this. Not only to be surrounded by people that are actually committed to do a higher level service and to grow as individuals, but to have an owner that's doing the exact same thing, and actually have an owner that is supporting you and wants to invest in you and wants to grow in you. That's one thing I think most people learn in the industry is, having an owner kind of leading the charge is a big deal. Most shops don't have that level. One, they're either busy cutting, so they're trying to, get their piece of the pie just the same, or they're just beyond checked out.
Yeah.
But to have somebody that can help you out with a little bit of everything
is very, very, very important. Yeah, and that's kind of going along with, the topic today is, the balance of work and outside of work. And Pops is, all of us have different lives and what we do, families and stuff like that. And Pops is really allowed us to kind of choose our time away from the shop that affects our life in the most meaningful way. And like you said, a lot of shop owners, they try, but Pops is at a spot where he's like, I want my guys to be happy, so they need to have fun outside of the shop as well as have a good time in the shop. And that's what it's all about for me. Being here as long as I have, I love it here, but I love my time away. I got a dirt bike. I got my Harley. I love the mountains and stuff like that. So it's like getting those opportunities to go and do that outside of the shop allows me to come back to the shop and really want to talk about that type of stuff with my clients and communicate that stuff and ask them what they do and kind of get more feedback from them of what can I do outside of the shop to still improve myself, but also detach a little bit,
Yeah, and think to the first point is we all are so different. You know, we're at different ages, we're at different family situations, life situations, and we all have our own priorities. And that's, you know, there's so many variables that come along with that. You know, with you specifically, I know where your schedule's at today and where your life is kind of at today. You know, it's 7 years to kind of get you to that point. You know, do you mind explaining, I guess, where you kind of started with work-life balance, beginning of the career, the pros and cons of that, what that helped with, what maybe that was some learning, growing moments, and then ultimately, with as much context as you're willing to give, how you ended up kind of where you're at right now with your schedule, what that means to you, and kind of the pros and cons of that a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I started early 2018 here, and my first 2 years here, I did not take a single day off. I feel like it's a career where if you are not here, especially at the beginning of your career, it's going to take a long time to build the clientele you want. And when you're sitting at a shop and you're not cutting hair, it can get to you. So it's like I was willing to go through those 2 years of not taking a single day off. You know, I maybe had a sick day, but I didn't go camping, I didn't go riding, I didn't do anything because I felt like that was the most important thing for my career, the shop, obviously. And I feel like doing that come my third year here, I was like, okay, I need to start getting back into like what sticks does, what drives me to want to come back to the shop and work and stuff like that. And so my third year, I started camping a little bit more, started, you know, we used to do, with all of our hours, we've changed hours a lot and stuff like that. But like first through third year, we all used to do stuff a lot together. You know, it's like we had the exact same hours, everyone's doing stuff. And so we were, you know, doing stuff outside of the shop was easy come those 3 years. But that's what I was doing. If I wasn't in the shop, I was hanging out with people in the shop. We were going to go float the river. We're going to go camp. We're going to go on trips and stuff like that. And I feel like as my years have gone on, I've definitely, you know, I'm going to take a little bit more time off. I'm going to eliminate a day from my week. I'm going to just give myself more of an opportunity for a long weekend instead of, you know, if I have a Tuesday and a Thursday off, I don't want to take Wednesday and Friday off to give me a 4 day. So I just kind of figured my schedule out in a way to fulfill my life in the way I like to live it. And so being as where I am now, I work 3 days 1 week and 4 days the next week. And doing that allows me to obviously have a good time, but I feel like if someone asks me to cover a shift, it's very easy for me to be like, yeah, I still have 2 days off or whatever. And it makes that very easy to do that. So I feel like a lot of people at times, you know, if they only have a certain amount of time off and they get asked to have a day off or to cover a day, then it kind of puts a long work week on them, but it's a good thing to do every now and then. It's not like, oh God, this is every week, you know, it happens very rarely around here and stuff. But it does allow me and makes me feel like, okay, I can give more to the shop even though I'm not here as much at the shop, if that makes sense. So I definitely, you know, when it comes to you and John and me, I'm definitely here the least amount. You know, you guys are here early mornings and 6 days a week, you know, and I'm 3 and 4 days. And like we were saying earlier, it's just our lives are kind of just different, and we all need different times and different hours and different incomes to achieve what we're all trying to do here. I definitely don't see myself taking extra days off. I'm not trying to get to 2 days a week and all that type of stuff, you know. But I have hit that spot in my career that I still want to advance, but I'm at a spot where I can pay my bills. I can have a good time. Yeah, I don't own a home, which freaking sucks right now. You know, I definitely want to be able to get a home, but, you know, if that comes in 3 more years, personally, that's okay for me because I can still go out and maybe spend that money on going on a little trip here, or me and Morgan going on a backpacking trip for a week, or go ride the coastline or something like that. So I do feel like the shop and everyone here has definitely allowed me to do that, because there's some people in shops where it's like, no, this is what you're doing, and I'm glad we all can have the conversation with each other. And it's taken us 6-7 years to be like, oh, we can open at 7 a.m. and close at 9 p.m. and have 7 different barbers here, and it works out, and it's been really nice. So I don't know if I'm kind of getting off on the subject a
Hey, we'll
bit,
take it, though.
but
I like it all.
we're trying. So
No, I love it. I mean, a lot of points that I want to touch in throughout all of that, but maybe the simplest version of where you're at right now with your life, with your priorities, with what you really want to be spending your time with, the experiences you want to have. Yes, with where you are at with your career and where you're happy with certain points of the career there. No, I think you specifically, more week by week balance seems to be the best for your career, but for your mental state, for your life, for your interest, everything that you're into. Being able to take 2, 3, 4 days to hit the dunes, go 4 hours away, 8 hours away, even longer, to like really get riding and really get camping, really be out in the boonies, really get that Outlander self out and to experience
get that sticks life.
That's right. It's giving you that opportunity to get there and to achieve that, and then being able to have that joy and those experiences outside of the shop. When you are here, you're 100% present. You're wanting to work and wanting to be here with your clients and with your guys and connect with them. It's not counting down the days or the hours to get back out and to, oh man, I just can't wait till I can clock out and be
especially with only having 3 or 4 days. It's like my days go by so fast anyways, where I'm just like, yeah, I would hate to be at a job where I'm counting down like, 3 more hours, and just, that's a long day. That is a long day. And a lot of the world lives and works that way,
100%.
And so it just shows you how many people really aren't doing something that they enjoy. Everyone's like, whatever job they're doing, like, I love this. It's more what you're willing to do to make it a good time for you. Because I could go honestly work construction and I could make it the best time for myself. But then, people, it's hot as hell out there. It's cold. It's rainy. There's a lot of things that go against it. But if you look at, I'm outside still, with a group of people still out here. Yeah, it's hot or cold. But you can make any job a good time. It truly is your mindset. 100% everything in your life is what your mind is thinking and what your mind is doing. And I've had to learn a lot through life of like, don't be so, little things bother me, and I think what a lot of it is for me is I feel like everyone needs to have common sense. I'm not saying I know everything with common sense, but like, that's the type of stuff that gets me fired up, which I've learned over time. Let the little small things roll off and just live your day and make your work day as good as possible. Obviously help everyone as you can and stuff like that, but that's one thing I've had to work on, is just focus more on myself and what I'm doing with my client, me in the chair and stuff like that, instead of, did you see that guy yelling outside bothering the shop? Or back when I first couple of years, I'd be like, this is weird. Now it's just downtown. It's just like, there's people screaming by all the time, but
what you're focusing on and what you're making, what you're putting stock into is such a big deal. I mean, you can only control what you can control. And if you're letting those little things get to you, especially work specifically, if you're focusing on all the negative stuff, you're focusing on how you don't like your boss, you don't like your leader, you don't like how they talk to you, you don't like the expectations, you don't like how, your coworker next to you behaves or talks to you, or how they handle stuff, or you're always comparing where, well, when I do that, I get a talking to. When they do that, they don't get a talking to. If you're focusing on all those negative things, even those little things, but you have that negative focus or mindset on it, it makes sense why you're miserable and sad or upset or you're always negative because that's what you're focusing on.
Going to bed thinking about it, then you wake up thinking about it. And
yeah, I mean, your mindset's everything. It's not that those things don't happen, not that you don't get annoyed by other people or you don't wish people could behave a little bit kinder or anything there. Like, that's all part of life. Like, there's negative parts to it all. But what are you focusing on? If you're really putting stock in as much of the positive side of your life and work as possible, and that's what you're focusing on, and you're putting all your effort into making it better and more positive, it helps out a lot. You can be a lot happier, you can be a lot more enjoyable. Where you okay, your actual skill, what you're doing, maybe you don't like doing construction, maybe you don't like doing certain things of like the actual skill. Okay, leave that. Go find somewhere that you actually enjoy the work as much as possible. Mm-hmm. It's a skill set that you want to learn more about and you're happy to be a part of. And once you find something like that, it's like focus on the positive. I mean, that mindset is absolutely everything. But to go back to kind of the work life, personal life balance with work, where same situation. When we started here, it was 5 days a week, 10 to 7, 9 hours of cutting hours. You're here basically an hour before, an hour after. And I'm 100% in agreement where in this craft, the service industry, where everything depends on you reap what you sow. If you're not putting hair on the floor, you're not making money. And if you're not connecting with people, they're not coming back to sit in your chair. Nope. Like, it is 100% up to you to actually build a career out of this and to have some substance and some consistency with that. And I do think you need to commit a couple years to just dive in 100% into it. If you can't obsess with it and put all your effort into it, you're not going to be doing this 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
You're going to get burnt out way faster than, that's why the industry is what it is people can't hang with it. They can't handle those slow days or that slow week or, getting started that slow month. Like, luckily we all had pops to kind of obviously, hey, we're going to do some education. You guys are going to learn to do what you do now, and it's going to be second nature to you. And I feel like all of us here were like, oh, you want this? All right, boom. And it's just, we don't even have to think about stuff anymore. And yeah, when you enjoy that part of it, it's good. And then just kind of going off a little bit of that, just like the amount of clients that, you are in the Rotary Club that you've, I'm pretty sure, found out through a client and client. Yeah. So it's like the amount of people that you've met and talked to and gone to dinners with clients and stuff like that. That's another part of, I feel like, work-life balance. Yeah, you met that person through work, but you're going and doing things outside of the shop, and that's so important. The amount of people I've met through the shop that ride motorcycles that I've gone riding with, it's the coolest thing ever when you can take someone that was in your chair and you're like, hey, next week you want to go and do this? And boom, then you have a friendship right there, and then it can only climb from there depending on where you guide that friendship and stuff like that. And maybe that's not the right word to guide a friendship, but figure out where it goes.
It happens naturally, and you're on that path with that person. And I think both you and I can agree with this is we have our family. We're both close to our families. Honestly, probably never met somebody that's closer to their family than yourself. But outside of that, clients are one of the most intimate, close friendships that I know I have. I'm not the most social person outside of here when it comes to just different friend groups and other people there. I was one of those people that, the moment I kind of graduated and moved away, I wanted to take care of me. I had this inner desire and this need to make sure I was taken care of. And I wanted to find a career. For whatever reason, I needed something that I was passionate about. Kind of having an example like my dad to see 2 different 20-year careers, somebody that you just absolutely dive 100% into his craft and into his work. I needed that. I needed something that gave me purpose. And I was never one where, okay, I have these hobbies and I have these interests and I have these, friends or people that I really want to be around. That's my priority 1. whatever I do with work is just going to help fuel that. That wasn't me. I needed my work and my career to bring value into this world. I didn't always know it at the time, and maybe I can articulate it a little bit better now, but it's like I did need my work to be how I brought value into this world. And it might have been one of those reasons where I understood so many hours of your life are dedicated to work, just to live in this world. Homes, families, food, everything. Like, obviously it costs money, and to be able to fuel that, but plus have the joy and the happiness of just life in general. I did need that career pathway to kind of give me that. So that was my focus. So it was always just me, personal development, career development. Like, that was where my mindset was at really my whole life. And as soon as I, hit 18 and moved out and did my own thing, that's where my focus was. It wasn't focused on necessarily friendships or, those type of experience. With nothing wrong with that. That's just who I was as a person, who I am. And so client-wise, besides family, have always been the closest people in my world. And when you spend an hour at a time, every couple weeks, once a month, I got some clients I see every week, every 2 weeks, and you're spending a full hour of just one-on-one, real deep conversations. You really get to understand people's values, what gets them moving. You're connected on different things.
Well, you have those guys that you see that many times. You see them in a down mode. You see them in an upper mode. You see them just, level, and that's the thing where if you deal with a client long enough, you start to feel their emotions, and it's very easy to be like, hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, yeah. And they're comfortable with sharing that with you. Which that always means
feels so good. So good. I'll tell anyone, if you need to whisper, man, just... What do you need to tell me? What do you need to say?
I got you. What do you need off your chest? What do you need to cry about? What do you need to get mad about? Everybody's at different moments of their life. Obviously with us as well. But a big kind of work balance for me was I wanted relationships. It was people. It was connecting the world, connecting with people. Really better in that for myself, for my own personal growth with other people. I always wanted and needed this positive impact.
Well, ever since I've known you, you've always had that drive of like talking to people and trying to understand that person. And that's why I said like 6-7 years of growing with you, it's like I definitely see that in you. And that's, if you're a barber that can't talk, it's a long day. Obviously we don't always talk all hour during and stuff. We listen a lot and stuff, but like if you remembering what a client said is huge. Like, John's like the number one dude I know that, your guy hasn't been in here for 3 years. Yeah, he gets a one on the side, pompadour this, and he remembers everything.
He remembers our clients.
And he's like, you don't remember? I'm like, I haven't seen him forever. And he's like, yeah, I'm like, geez, John, how do you remember that? And that's good. That's a barber. I still struggle with that where I see guys every month and I'm like, did we do this last time or this last time on you? But then I can remember the conversation, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess kind of segue it back into it is, just like you, how we started this career is, it was really, for me, I had 5 years of 5 days a week, 9 hours of cutting. You're doing 45 service hours plus all the before and the back end of it all. And it really helped build my craft, build my skill set. And especially for those first few years, it was all about education and work, and we really dove deep into it.
Yep.
And maybe the balance then was, we as a shop would go on retreats, we'd do other things together, and that was kind of the way that the shop created a little bit of that balance, but we were all in it together.
Exactly.
It was 10 people that we're just diving 100% deep into it.
10 people plus if you had a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, it was a group of,
And then as time has gone on, it's like, okay, maybe we don't need to focus so much on that core and of the group of everything that we're doing. Is let's create a little bit more individual balance, because we want people to be here 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the road. And with you and I, with those few years, like, okay, it was a grind. It really built us our clientele. It got us our core group of it all. But like, all right, I need to take care of, myself and my circle and my family a little bit more.
Yep.
And that's probably where, when it comes to work life, you and I are on different pathways on that one. I have Kimmy. I have my partner. I have my boy. I have my family in my house that I want to spend as much day by day time with them as possible. You know, those first 5 years, it helped create the foundation for the rest of my life and my career, and I needed that, and I'm glad I gave that to it. But then it was like, well, I want to be home for all of Cove's basketball games. I want to be there for all of the family events and birthday parties. I want to be there for dinner, not only just showing up and eating dinner and, thanking the family for, cooking me dinner. I wanted to be a part of that situation. I wanted to be in the kitchen.
Helping.
100%. I wanted to, run the errands, and, you're going to the grocery store afterwards, and, you're not getting home at 8:30, 9 p.m., and then you're just trying to catch up on the day to build a little bit of connection. You know what those first 5 years did for my personal life, thankfully I have an amazing partner that was willing to commit with that and understood what we were signing up for. And, very honest with everything that's been going on with work, with career, with where I'm trying to go. And she's been nothing but supportive. But we still have a relationship we've had to work on and build on. And those first 5 years, the biggest thing that we had to focus on was it was quality time.
Being together.
That was our foundation, because we didn't have the amount of hours together that a typical relationship has. So when we were together, we had to make the best of it. Like, we had to make that high quality. And I think we did a really good job. We're human beings, and, there was obviously, thousands and thousands of conversations and growing together and being honest and vulnerable with each other. But that was always the core of what our priorities were, it was quality time. So I thank that for our relationship, because I think we do that today, now that we have more time together, better than most people. Like, we love being around each other. We love being as a family, as a unit together. We love spending time together. We do as many things together as possible. And, it's part of, maybe we didn't have it for so many years, but it's also, it created all this just real love, real quality time together, real good relationship. So now we can carry that on. Our pathway.
And you've put in the grind to be able to get to that point now. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you put those 5 years in where wasn't as much as you wanted with time with them, and now you're like, oh, I can change my hours. I can make sure I can do all this, yet still make the living you were making with your other hours and stuff like
and that's
that.
Exactly what I've done. I basically work the same amount of hours.
Yeah.
I do, especially with Rotary Club that I do every single week. I'd say I'm at 43 service hours instead of 45 service hours. Basically same thing. Yeah. But what I do is, spread it out between 6 days instead of 5 days now. Because before those 5 days, it's sun up to sun down, and that's 8 a.m. to almost
that's hard.
9
You
p.m.
don't. Yeah, it's it's hard to have breakfast with your family. It's hard to have the dinner with your family, and that's this. I just recently changed my hours from 10 to 7 to 9 to 6, and that 1 hour difference, I'm not eating dinner at 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. And I can fall asleep a little earlier, and I'm waking up earlier, but just that 1 hour does so much for my quality time outside of the shop, where I'm like, okay, now I'm not having to hurry and cook dinner so I can eat, so that I can actually rest before I go to sleep. And just that 1 hour's been massive for me.
And to show that, like, okay, grind it out, create, the foundation that you have, so then you can start tweaking and start kind of, balancing things out, maybe a little bit more 50-50. It's I think when people think balance, it's always 50-50 from day one. And I don't think that's the case. Sometimes you got to be given different percentages to work, to personal life, and it ebbs and flows depending on where you're at with your life.
You try to even that out eventually.
It's always going to change. Things come up, priorities change, and where both of us are at, we're like, all right, let's take a step back. Let's balance out our personal lives a little bit more. We've been, obviously career heavy to really build that foundation. Now let's start focusing on us and our, circle outside of work a little bit more. So then we can really create, harmony within both. So we can do this for, another 7 years, another 10 years kind of going forward. To, I guess, get it off of us, if you're going to talk to new people in the industry, people at our school, people that are thinking about going into school, if you want to talk about work-life balance, expectations, managing those expectations, what would you recommend as, kind of that scheduling, or just, what would you really tell people coming into the industry, that kind of the new barbers or the new people of the service industry?
My biggest one would be kind of like what I said at the beginning. As hard as it is, I wouldn't say I lost friends over my first 2 years of working here. But I had a group of friends that I hung out with a lot. Became a barber. I worked weekends. I had weekdays off. So I didn't get to see those friends hardly at all. And yeah, I could have, at times, what are you guys doing on the weekend, when I got off work, whatever. But it just slowly turned into, that group slowly not hitting me up, which now I'm fine with. I honestly don't care. I still talk to those people. I still cut some of those people's hair. It's just not what it was.
Yeah.
But I put in those 2 years of I'm not doing anything. And that might sound really shitty at the beginning. But I feel like if you want to start a career and you want to stay in it, it's the first 2 years. Well, we'll say it's the first 5 years of any career that's going to show you where you're going to go with it. And especially in those first 2 years. If you don't make it in 2 years, then you did everything wrong. It's not the shop's fault that you're not busy. It's your personal, it's your fault.
You gotta have personal accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, you signed up for this. This is your life. This is your career. It's you do gotta look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, did I really give it 110% effort? And our argument is kind of if you do make it through those 2 years, you're a lot closer to that. You are putting in effort to do it. If you're not making it with those 2 years, either it's not meant to be. This was a great idea, but it's just not really what connects with you as an individual, and that's okay. It happens. Or did you really put in the amount of effort that it takes? And I think you and I can both agree is if you're getting into this career, any career, honestly, especially anything that's more in the entrepreneurial, in your own expectation, it's all up to you, and it's a lot of work. And you have to understand that those first few years, is a grind. And honestly, should be a grind. The amount of habits that can create for you, the amount of foundation that brings for you, going through all those just difficult to, discipline growing moments, that's going to help you for the rest of your life and career. If those first 2 years are just easy peasy and you just showed up and everything just fell on your lap and it was great, is when the sea gets rough, how strong is that ship really going to be?
Well, and I feel like, we're 5 years apart in age, 5-6 years
27.
apart. Yeah. So, me personally, I feel like I needed to be older to get into this career. If I would have got into this like right when I was 18, 19, I don't know if I would have put in the time.
Yeah.
Personally. Because that's still a time in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm still learning who I am. I'm still growing with this, but then I'm going to try and shove a career in there as well. Like obviously I don't know if I couldn't have done it, but I feel like at an older age, getting in here when I was 25, I was at a point in my life where I'm like, I need to figure something out. Like if I don't do something now, like, am I going to go do construction, which I don't want to do, but it was one of those things. Do I have the mental capacity and the focus and the dedication to like, hey, I need a life-changing career and this is what it is. So let's make it that. Because January it will be, shop's eight years old, like we're all going to hit a 10-year mark here, and that's crazy to even think about. It's like you hear of barbers that have been barbers for 15 plus years that are in their 60s, hear guys that are 30-year barbers and they're in their 50s. Like just everyone starts at a different time, but I do feel like nowadays barbers, they do feel, from what I see, they do all think it's just the easiest money it is once you get it figured out. Once you're cutting hair and you have that clientele, then it's like, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing. But when you're starting, you're like, oh, I'm going to go and start. I'm going to get walk-ins nonstop. And that's when that doesn't happen. That's when those first 2 years, you're like, there's millions of people in this city alone, and I have not how many times have we all heard that at times in our career, like, there's a lot of people in this city, and you're,
So
know.
when you put it like that, like, yeah, that
you're
makes
like,
sense.
geez, okay, I'll go. I remember starting here, walking the streets and being like, hey, can I cut your hair? I don't hear of people doing that ever, and it's uncomfortable to do that at times.
Very uncomfortable.
This is my first time doing this type of a thing,
Uh-huh.
and I'm trying to not make it uncomfortable. Being a barber, I feel like I can talk very well, but it's something different going up to a random stranger on the street when you don't know what the hell you're really doing, because you're 6 months into your career where you're like, yeah, I can cut your hair, but I'm really going to learn and practice on your hair is what I'm really asking you to do. Can I practice on your hair?
Yeah.
And I feel like just that barbers aren't doing that. I feel like barbers nowadays that are coming out of school, they're really thinking it's just being, hey, there's many shops everywhere. There's a shop for you. There's a shop for your buddy Bill. There's a shop for every single person, which there's not. And unless you are actively searching out that shop you want to go to when you graduate, you're probably not going to end up in the shop you were thinking you were going to, or the type of shop you were going to be in when you thought you were, when you finished. So I feel like it truly is just coming out of school, just life's going to kick you in the nuts a little bit, and you have to just it's going to subside. You're going to be fine. But if you let your head just get in the way, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Tying it back to, it's kind of your mentality on the whole situation, what you're focusing on. And, I agree. It's the mentality that you're seeing today. This is obviously generalizing. There's great people, great hustlers out there that are really trying it.
It's all the social stuff that we
for sure.
see.
You're seeing more and more people. You're sitting on the couch. You're waiting for the walk-in to come to you. And you're waiting for those people to be here. Where, how we were kind of bred and brought up on the system and groomed is go out and get it. It's nobody else that's going to do this except for you, so go out there and get it. Yeah. And it is very uncomfortable. It is not fun. You want to just be in work and just like let it come to you and like, okay, let me do it when it's here, but to go out to a random stranger. And where most people, again, to where
that's
they
heavy
focus
growth.
and that's the point. It's one where so many people put the emphasis and the focus on this sucks, this is hard, I don't want to do this, I've never done this before, it's uncomfortable. And they put that energy out there. Maybe they're only asking 2 or 3 people, and it's you can feel that type of energy where they don't know the whole context that's going behind, but they're feeling that. So, okay, you went 0 for 2. But if you have that mindset of like, all right, this is what we're doing today, I'm going to try my hardest, I'm going to put my best effort forward. You go ask 30 people out there on the streets, even if you come back with 0, it's practice to be able to have those tough conversations, put yourself out there to tell your story. It's the whole point of doing an exercise like that. The number one reason is go see if you can do what it takes to actually take care of people. To actually go out and put yourself out there. Because if you can't put yourself out there, if you can't try to sell yourself or at least share yourself is probably a more appropriate word to do it. You really think you're going to be able to do that when people do come to you and for years and years and years? You need to be able to build those habits. You build that stronger foundation, and everything else is just easier after that. And if you're going out with 30 people, positive as can be, sharing your story, someone's going to bite. Someone's going to be a part of that. They want to help you. They want to improve you because you let them see, what you're really trying to be, what you're really trying to do. You shared your story. People like helping people. But if you got to be able to put yourself out there to do it, and
it's what's weird is it's when someone tells you no is when you feel weird. It's like not a lot of people are used to like, hey, I'm offering you something free. Why aren't you saying yes? Like it's, or the way someone says no, or it's letting that stuff again roll off instead of letting that discourage you. Like, oh, that guy was an asshole. Why'd he say no like that when I'm just asking to give him a free haircut, Just roll it.
Yeah.
Go on to the next person, The amount of... I think I have 3 guys still to this day that year 1 walking the streets got them, and I still to this day cut their hair. Yeah, it's only 3, but from 5 years ago, like that's...
It's incredible. It's just
still
random as
kept
can
them.
be.
Exactly. Walking out of a theater. Hey, how was the movie? You want a haircut? Yeah. All right, and it's been taken care of them ever since, and it's what it takes.
I love it. And to your point about the no is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to have to adapt and change and grow and improve. And it's okay if somebody tells you no, especially when it comes to something like this. There's a million reasons why that person could have said no. They'd be going on their way to work. They just, they don't know what's going on. You didn't give them enough context. You didn't share your story. There's so many things. There's so many reasons why they say no, but it's easier to get discouraged and focus on that no and that negative side of it all, where if you can have that focus and a mindset to focus on the positive, you can roll it off of you, but you use it like, okay, I said this, that didn't work with this guy. Let me present it differently with the next person. Let me change my attitude. Let me put a better
Slow down your
smile on.
talking just a little bit. Hey, can I cut your hair real quick, hey?
Exactly. It's all learning moments.
Yeah,
You have to
chill
go
out.
through all of that. And I think, so a new point here that I'm going to bring up is maybe not the most obvious when it comes to work-life balance for us here. Just for a little bit of context, we are different than your average barbershop. We're the exact opposite than a a la carte type barbershop. Everything we do, full service. You're either sitting with us for an hour or you're sitting with us for an hour and a half. And we're executing on your grooming needs and, tailor making it to you based on, growth pattern, head shape, you name it. But it comes with as many bells and whistles, as many luxury items as possible, and we're constantly growing on those, improving and adding to it. So it's very much the experience. It's very much that moment in time. We're really taking care of people. The hour and a half gives us time to communicate with them, build a deeper rapport, better relationships with them. So for context, we do operate a little bit differently than the average barbershop. So we obviously charge a little bit differently than the average barbershop. We've always been, for a public space as a whole barbershop, we've always been the most expensive in the state. But we're giving a different service than the rest of the state as well. Not that there's not great barbers out there. I want every barber to improve their craft, do a better service, charge your worth, let your value to the marketplace dictate what you can charge. I want everybody to grow and be the best possible. It's not what this is really about. But because we do things differently, because we're charging at a higher rate, talk about maybe the growing pains, the good and bad of that. But because we do charge more than the average barber, it's able to give us that work-life balance a lot more. If we're charging $20 for a haircut, we're not able to live the life that we want to live based on time away from shop, time there. Obviously, I'm very proud of how much work and effort we put into our craft. That's a big deal to this and why we charge what we charge. But kind of explain that a little bit for your own feelings. Just I know what we started when we first got here, and I know where we're at right now. And it's there's been growing pains, there's been fun conversations, not fun conversations. We're nervous to do it. We're understanding all of that. But I think that's a big reason why we're able to decide our balance maybe a little bit more than the average person right now. I mean, you're 7 years deep of doing this, and we only got 400 plus clients, but that's also a big factor in all of this as well. That the average barber in school or the average barbershop owner might not be thinking of, like, how do I create a better work-life balance? How has that kind of process and growing been for yourself?
I would think probably out of every barber here, whenever we do a little increase of this or that, I'm always kind of like, I'm kind of nervous, I don't know, we're already this much and stuff like that. But it really comes down to your barber. Like, I feel like, when we first started here, we did dress a little different. We had button-ups, we had ties,
Dress shoes.
we had dress shoes, we had
Obviously our smocks.
our smocks and aprons at times and stuff like that. And I think why it was such an explosion kind of here in Salt Lake and city barbers in general is it was barbers that all did look the same but different. Like, we all looked very approachable, very like, oh, hey, like, you look like a barber. And I feel like, especially myself, I feel like that helped me build a clientele of just the way I was dressing at the moment. But you fast forward things now, and I feel like that was a needed thing But I feel like now our clients are starting to see us dress a little different,
Yeah.
more of
More individualized
more
of who you
more
are.
you, exactly. But it doesn't come off of like, oh, you guys are charging that much, but you're, we're not dressed in,
Suits and ties.
yeah, and I don't think you need suit and ties to do what we're doing.
Not if your skill and your character is to the
Exactly.
level that we're trying to perform at.
And at the very beginning, we didn't need to do that because we were trying something. We were something that Salt Lake's never seen before. So
We're
why
growing to
not?
where we're at right now.
Exactly.
We weren't here 7 years ago.
We've-
Mentally we were.
Yes.
Like how we were brought up on the system and our expectations with the owner and what we're trying to do and what we're offering. That hasn't really changed at
No.
all. It's only grown and improved, but it's basically the same thing.
Yes.
But the actual level of execution and consistency and just knowledge and skill set has only improved on top of all of that. So we're able to, be a little bit more of ourself and, individualize and differentiate who we are as barbers with our
That's
own
huge.
clientele.
That's huge. Like if, say I did roll up in a 3-piece suit, my clients that I've been taking care of for years would be like, what do you want? Not that they'd be like, what the hell? But they'd be
Where are
like,
you going
what's
after this? You
going
got a
on?
wedding?
You know,
After this, what
and
are
I'd be
you
like, oh. But when they see me like, having the bike out front and, wearing just jeans and like, yeah, I'm rode my bike in today, I can't wear a suit, but I want to work at a shop that I could wear a suit or I can wear nice jeans and still have the exact same procedure, exact same hour service. Nothing has changed. It doesn't make it stuffier. It doesn't make it more fun. Like I try to be the same no matter what. But when you look at an individual, regardless of who you are, you're gonna judge someone instantly, and not of like ew, but
Yeah, not
like
in a negative
oh
way.
you're
You're
into
observing.
basketball. Oh, you like shoes. Oh, it's exactly observing what's going
Well,
on.
especially when it comes to aesthetics, with where we're in the beauty industry, but to be able to connect and have people notice those things about you, like it definitely works.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, especially if I go to the Rotary Club, if I'm out in the regular life, I'm wearing something about Ace City Barbers all day, every day. It's who I am. It's my brand. I made that conscious decision that no matter where you see me, you're gonna notice something about my brand. You're gonna see that. It helps resonate who I am. It's a great conversation. Everybody loves seeing, man, what's Ace? What's all this explanation? I can easily tell them who I am, what I do, what I'm doing for a living, my career-wise, and it's such an easy, just like segue into a conversation. And I've always, there's a reason why we're in the barber industry. I've always been about self-grooming. Whether it's facial hair, clothes, jewelry,
just through life,
accessories.
like growing
Always,
up, just
I was always that kid. I always enjoyed it. Obviously it's changed and it's grown and it's been different through different things, but I always gravitated towards things that made me stand out aesthetically.
Yeah.
And I liked that because I think it just created so much more conversation with people. It has nothing to do about the attention side of it all. It's like that's the last thing I care about. But I love being able to, especially growing up in Utah, 10 plus years ago. It's a little bit different now because everyone's got tattoos and piercings. But I loved it. I loved being that 18-year-old kid with a sleeve, piercings. Didn't matter if you're in Utah County, Davis County, here. I liked people observing me and almost judging me in a way, because I think it's a good thing because it puts they create a judgment, whether that's good, bad. That's what they decided to do. But then say we're going into a grocery store, we're going into a fast food place, anything, and then I'm the young kid opening the door for a random stranger, where they judged me in the parking lot because they saw these tattoos or they saw these piercings or anything else, and maybe they might not agree with it for their own self, made that judgment. Then we're in the public, and I'm the one opening the door, and I'm the one asking them how they're doing and having that conversation, putting that positive energy to them. I liked that because it either they judged, and then they found out my character, and then it helped them grow, or they observed, and it started a conversation, or it started a connection right there. So, no matter what, even if it started negative, I'm going to turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Whether it just was positive the whole time, it's great. So I've always been one that's like to express myself through what I wear, or what I look like, how I do. You know, I like grooming. I like, you know, being well kept. You know, hygiene. Like all of these things, it's a big deal. And it's always been a big priority for me. I've always wanted to be that person that just looks clean, smelled clean, felt clean. You know, I like that. It'll make sense while I ended up at a place like this.
Exactly.
So I'm able to express that, you know, whether I'm here in the barber shop with my work shirts, whether I'm here at the Rotary Club to be able to, you know, be that younger person that can, you know, share that, hey, there's young people out there that are talking the talk of wanting a better future, positive life, but I'm also walking the walk and actually putting those actions, or those words into actions to try to make the world a better place. And that's a big reason why I'm a part of that. And then personal life. You know, it's like you're going to see, you know, my City Barbers or my Ace shirt, and it's going to spark up a conversation. You're going to see my car, and we're going to be able to talk about that. We're going to, like, I like those things, so I want as much conversation as possible. So with me, you know, even with work-life balance, maybe to finish it up and to kind of segue back into our topic, you know, big believer starting out your career, you need the grind. You need that work mode to really build a foundation, to build those habits, to understand that's really the expectation of success in an industry like this. My argument in any industry, really. Then once you start building that foundation, you can start balancing a little bit more of the personal life. You know, you can get more of your clients to adapt to a schedule that works a little bit better for you, whether that is longer days, less days a week, whether that is more days a week with a little bit less hours a day, you know, whatever works best for you. Once you have, you know, those 400 clients, easier to kind of like tweak some things and get them to adapt with you and to grow with you, because one, they care about you, they respect you, they want to be a part of you. You've built that foundation. Now you can make sure that personal life gets taken care of as well, balance out, you know, your family, your own circle there. But with me, I don't need that necessarily separation of the two. I'm ace 24/7. You know, it doesn't matter if you catch me at a restaurant, doesn't matter if you catch me driving, I'm going to Starbucks, doesn't matter if I'm at work, if I'm walking around downtown, I'm ace 24/7. You know, obviously, you know, family, you know, my partners, you can call me Mason, everything there, and I don't really care what people call me, but I'm work mode 24/7. And it for me, and that's not in a negative way or in a bad way where I'm only focused on work. It's more like I'm the same person, whether I'm here, whether I'm at home, whether I'm with my, you know, extended family, with people in the public, with work. Like, I am the exact same person all the time.
And that's the way everyone needs to be, because when you see someone where you're like, oh, you're way different outside of the shop, it's like, oh, that's not a good thing to hear, because that means you're doing something.
You're putting on a front.
Fake.
You're putting on a face.
Exactly.
You know, talk about social media. You know, you're way different than I thought. Or when you meet somebody that maybe you enjoyed on social media, you were kind of excited to meet them, and after you meet them, you're like,
oh, that's all you are, is that. You're not that outside.
You're not your
of
person,
that.
and you're just having to, you know, put content on top of who you are as a person. You're, you know, not that you're just acting, but you're playing a character. And everybody has their own life to figure out and to do it all. But I think both of us and the barber industry and how we're doing it as a shop and how we hope everybody in the industry handles it is be the best version of you, but be you. You know, whatever that means. Your own interests, your own curiosities. Like, be true to you, but be the best version and keep growing on it, but be the same person behind the chair, in the chair when it's your turn. You know, when you're out in public, when you're out with family, when you're out with your partners, when you're out in the real world. Like, just be the same person all the time, and just, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like, be as true to yourself, but hold yourself to a high standard and put that out in the world. And I think a lot of barbers specifically, you'd be surprised with how many people are going to connect with you. Because you're being true, you're being vulnerable. You know, if you want the person in your chair to do that to you, you know, you have to do it first. You have to lead by example. You have to let them know that, like, hey, this is a good place. This is a safe place to me to be yourself. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to accept you for you being yourself. I'm going to be the best version of myself, and I hope you can be the best version of yourself. And let's be on this pathway of relationship together. And, you know, we're in the people business. You know, it's all about relationships. It's all about people.
We're all going to come across people where we don't have the same thoughts and feelings and stuff like that.
Okay.
But once they're in my chair, you're like every single one of my other clients, and I'm going to do everything the exact same for you, even if we don't have this. But that's the thing too. I love having clients where you can have that conversation if you feel completely opposite on something, yet you still leave giving each other a hug, and you're like, all right, dude, see you in 3 weeks. You know, like that's
good for this world.
That's what
it's
it
good for
is.
people. It's good for society. Like, we definitely need a lot more of that. I mean, everybody is going to tell you about, you know, how toxic or how, you know, separated this country is. But, you know, I know in our world, at least with our work with our people, dude, we talk about, I mean, you and I, we know how we feel about the world and how we feel about things going on. We talk about it all the time, but we talk about it with our clients. And we have things we agree on with our clients. We have plenty of things we disagree on with our clients. But to be able to show that you can have those conversations with two respectable adults, two grown-ass men, and to be able to, you know, still love each other, still grow with each other, and still be excited to see them, you know, soon. And you want to see them as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think you have the opportunity to lead as a good example for how the rest of the world, and hopefully the rest of the country, can grow to be with people that you disagree with, and people that you can actually, you know, impact in a positive way.
100%. Yeah. It's very important having just the work-life balance. It's everyone, once you get it figured out, things not get easier, but they get, we'll say it gets easier.
Well,
it's
it gets
just different.
easier because you have more competence. You know, you're more confident with the situation because you understand it more, because you've been through more of it all. So you're able to not put so much stock in the negative stuff. That thing doesn't ruin you. You know, you're able to just keep on growing, keep on improving. But ultimately, you know, it takes time. You know, you got to be patient with your path. You know, you got to stay in your own lane. You know, maybe at the beginning, you know, it's work mode. You know, you're in grind mode to really build that foundation, get those habits, get that clientele. Then you'll figure out a little bit more of a balance, because, you know, you'll kind of take a little bit more of a priority. So now we're getting closer to, say, that 50-50. You know, everything's going to kind of balance out a little bit more. But, you know, be patient with the process.
Yep.
It's but you gotta be in love with the process, because that's the only way you're going to get to
long grind, but it's a satisfying. It's a satisfying, not end, because we're all still going.
Never really
but,
ends, but
yeah.
just
But
the
once
path
you
you're
get
going.
over that first little hump, you know, then you're like, okay, I can chill for a little, but know that mountain is still big behind.
Always
that. You're still
inclining.
going up. So
100%.
keep it going. And yeah, all the new barbers, if you're listening, it's fun. It's fun to do this,
Yep.
and it's very rewarding in every aspect of life. It has, at least for me. So
Agreed.
yeah,
And you can do
Pops
it.
has created a great spot for us to grow in and show what we are doing and how we can do it well, and yeah, just keep it grinding.
I love it. Well, Sticks, happy you were here today.
It was fun.
This was fun, dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot different than I was thinking it was going to be. Not in a bad way, but just like how early I was like, God, I hope I can just keep the conversation going and talk and not just be blank-eyed. But this was actually really fun.
Yeah,
so
look at
we're
us.
definitely
Let's
doing
let's
some
do it
more.
again. I enjoyed having the
Definitely.
conversation with you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks
yeah.
for listening to episode 4 of Heart of the City. We'll see you guys again. Thank you.
Thanks.